Welcome to episode 20 of the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. Joined by Director of Athletic Communications Larry Dielman and Student Assistant Connor Kikowski. This is Sports Information Director Andy Alvarez bringing you results and news from this past week's action and previewing the week ahead in Immaculata Athletics. It's hard to believe, guys, that we are now at episode 20. We've been doing this since the fall, and we're now another milestone. Way back, we did episode 10 over in the podcast studio. Now we've hit episode 20. It's been a good run so far, and we're looking forward to obviously moving through with the winter season, moving into spring sports starting this week now. It's going to be a busy time, and we're looking forward to a lot of new coverages and some different guests on our show. And looking at this past week, we had men's and women's basketball, each playing 2 games last week, both playing St. Elizabeth on Wednesday and Gwynn and Mercy on Saturday. Men's and women's indoor track and field traveled to Ursinus on Saturday for the Frank Colden Invitational. Although men's basketball saw 2 tough losses this week, the women did pick up 2 more AEC wins. Track and field watched some more records fall on both sides. We will be joined later on in our show by our guest, Abby Grillo from the women's basketball team. And she was a really good guest. I mean, that was a really good interview, and look forward to bringing that to you later in the show. And we can get things started by looking back at last week's action, starting with women's basketball. On Wednesday, they hosted St. Elizabeth, and the team came away with a big 81-47 victory. Carly Coleman and Abby Grillo each had a team-high 20 points. Coleman and Grillo combined to shoot 17 for 22, or 77.3% from the field. Grillo with career-high 4 3-pointers. Coleman recorded her 13th double-double of the season. Riley Cassidy tallied a career-high 7 assists. Immaculata dominated 50% shooting and held St. Elizabeth to just 23%. Outscored the Eagles 42-8 via points in the paint and picked up a season sweep over St. Elizabeth in their first 2 all-time matchups. They never played before this season, and they weren't a member of the AAC to this season. On Saturday, the women went up to Gwynn and Mercy and kind of pulled away in the, later on and won 83-60 the final up at Gwynn and Mercy. The game was fairly close for 3 quarters before the Mighty Macs put the game away with a 22-9 run in the 4th quarter. Meg Robbins, who tied her career high on Wednesday with 14 points, had her career high 17 points to lead the way. Carly Coleman recorded her 14th double-double of the season with 16 points and 11 rebounds. Again, she was halfway to a quadruple-double with 6 assists and 5 steals. Abby Grillo had her second career double-double with 15 points, 11 boards, but the rebounds were a career high for her. Meg Robbins was nearly perfect for the week, shooting a combined 13 for 15, 86.7% from the field. Immaculata outscored Gwynn and Mercy 25-17 in points off of turnovers. This week, Carly Coleman was once again named AEC Defensive Player of the Week for a 3rd straight week, 5th straight week as a Player of the Week honoree, having been the Player of the Week the 2 previous weeks. Meg Robbins was named to the weekly honor roll for the 2nd time this season, and the Mighty Macs will be back in action at home twice this week, hosting Marywood on Wednesday, the 11th at 6 p.m. here at Alumni Hall, and then they'll be home on Saturday for Senior Day when they host Centenary, where they'll honor seniors Olivia Etor and Riley Cassidy for their time with the Mighty Macs program. What were your guys' thoughts on women's basketball this week?
Yeah, it was a good week overall for women's basketball. Obviously, picking up 2 more AEC wins to stay undefeated in the conference. Wednesday, we had a nice crowd in Alumni Hall with it being National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Had a lot of great fans in the crowd and everyone getting in on the action there. And just a dominant game overall. Couldn't ask for really much better. Holding St. Elizabeth to just 23% shooting and only allowing 8 points in the paint. The Mighty Macs really limited the Eagles to pretty much just taking a lot of 3-pointers, and obviously Immaculata took advantage when they got the ball back each time on offense. I feel like a broken record at this point with the Carly Coleman halfway to a quadruple double thing. Every week I'm writing it and I'm just like again and again and again. And I'm like, one of these days, she'll get it. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling my shot. She's getting it one of these days. I don't know if it'll be this year, but sometime in the future, hopefully she can get that. Yeah, but just overall, great play. Carly again, Defensive Player of the Week. Meg Robbins on the honor roll. And, missing only 2 shots for the week is pretty darn good. Pretty much perfect both games, scoring or shooting wise. So we'll see how they do this week. Marywood, that was a tight game. Last time they played Marywood, it went to overtime up in Scranton. And then the last time they played Centenary was a 3-point road win. So two tough opponents this week. And of course, we'll celebrate Olivia and Riley on senior day on Saturday.
A quick note of a point there. The women have already clinched a playoff spot last week, but they clinched top three, so they have a first round bye. They're on the verge of clinching a home semifinal and are a few wins away from trying to wrap up home court for the playoffs. And unfortunately, with the way the nominations have to work, you had three players that have really good weeks. You can only really nominate two. So I mean, Abby Grillo had an incredible week, and definitely deserving of recognition as well. Unfortunately, just the system with the how you nominate for conference awards only really allows you to nominate one for offense and one for defense. So kudos to Abby Grillo for an outstanding week with the Mighty Macs.
Yeah, good week overall for the Mighty Max. And you said the fact that you already have a first round bye with a couple games left to go is pretty huge, considering at what point we are in the season. Meg Romans was dominant this whole week. I mean, only missing two shots on Saturday is pretty good. And even though Saturday was a slow start, the fourth quarter finishes for our women's team have been dominant. We saw that in Newman too. The fact that they know how to close out games is huge, and it's going to help them more down the road.
That's a great point, especially with how young this team is this year. You graduate your Reese Mullins, your Tessa Librajo, your Abby Boyers, your Lissa Longs, but you still have younger players that are able to step in and fill those roles immediately. And that's been huge for the Mighty Macs this season.
One thing to note, ladies and gentlemen, is that this is Connor's flu game, like MJ. Currently, he's battling a cold. That's why
Sorry.
his voice is a little deeper, but we're going to get through this anyway. I mean, I had it earlier this year with a cold, so this is Connor's flu game. All right, switching over to men's basketball. Two games this week, also against St. Elizabeth and Gwynedd Mercy. Two tough losses against St. Elizabeth. It was an 82-76 final. Very back and forth game. They tied the score 7 times, and there were 12 lead changes overall. Manancipo had the team high 19 points and 3 steals. Jaden Williams, who was our guest last week on the show, had a solid game, 16 points, 7 boards, and 3 assists. Christian Chambers and Robbie Conyer each had 2 blocks, which was actually Robbie's career high. Immaculata had a slim 40-39 halftime lead, but the Eagles pulled away at the very end. The Mighty Macs, however, outscored St. E's in the paint 46-34 and then 15-10 in points off turnovers. Against Gwynedd Mercy, another tough one. 81-72 was the final, but they went to overtime in that game. Immaculata once again with the 40-36 halftime lead. Gwynedd tied the game late on a three. They missed a three, got the offensive rebound, and then hit the three to tie it. And then in overtime, the Griffins pulled away with the first 9 points, and that was pretty much that. Manancipo again with the team high 13 points. Bowen Guger and Dom Vacchiano made their reappearances into the lineup after a couple games away with injuries. The Mighty Macs outscored the Griffins in points in the paint 42-34, points off turnovers 27-25, and then 38-18 in bench points. We are currently, as we've said in the last couple weeks, we are currently on 1K watch. As of this recording, Dylan Cruz is at 942 career points. He only needs 58 in the last 4 games to hit 1,000 for his career. That comes out to about 14-ish points per game, which is kind of what he's averaging this season anyway. So very possible that he does it. We'll just have to see how he does in these next couple games. But that's something to keep an eye out for. Their next game on Wednesday, they'll be at Marywood. The women are home, men are away on Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Guys, tough week again for the men's team. They're actually still in it, believe it or not, in the AEC playoff race. They're 1 game behind, I believe, that 4-5 play-in game. So they're still in it regardless, and it's going to be a dogfight these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean those were some tough games. I was up there on Saturday at Gwynedd Mercy, and you saw it at the end of the game. And unfortunately, it's just the way things have kind of worked at times. Like kid for Gwynedd gets that inbound in the dying seconds, it gets that three up, and it falls to send the game to overtime. And then in overtime, Gwynedd was able to pull away. There was still a lot of fight in the team, a lot of hard work. You're getting some of your players back, which I think, getting Dom Vacchiano back, getting Bowen Guger back only helps add to the depth of the team. And you're getting great contributions out of some of your guys off the bench and, in Robbie Conyer and some of these guys that are making a difference. And, having been here, obviously it's my 4th year here at Immaculata. I've been here with Dylan the entire time. that I've been here. He's been here before me even, and have him be this close to the 1,000 point plateau is really great to see, and hoping that he can get through. I mean, Dylan was a guest of ours, and we always talk about how great it is. His family's always here every game. His family was up there at Gwinnett on Saturday. His mom films the games and everything like that for him, so it'd be great to see him get to that point. And hopefully, I mean, they could find a way. I mean, if they could find a way to get that win on the road up in Marywood, it gives them a shot. They still have a shot at trying to get into that fifth spot for a chance at the playoffs. So hopefully, they can find a way to get over that edge in that game and try to steal a win.
Yeah, I talked to Dylan a lot, and I can tell you he's very determined to get that 1,000 points before the season is over. And I think he'll do it. So he knows what he has to do. So hopefully we'll see that happen fairly soon. But yeah, a lot of tough games this week for the men's team. Obviously, losing in overtime to Gwinnett is tough after that game we had here at Alumni Hall. And obviously, looking ahead at Marywood, we obviously know how that game ended last time when they were here a couple weeks ago. So they're gonna go in there determined to really bring it to them this time. And yeah, I was looking at the standings not too long ago, and like I think they're tied with Pratt right now, both at 3 and 7. But like that Marywood game is only a game behind them, so it's gonna be a big game on Wednesday night to help them get into at least a 4-5 playing game. All right, moving on to indoor track and field, which they were at your Sinus this past Saturday for the Frank Colton Invitational. And there was a lot of program records this past weekend. Aubrey Donahue once again broke her own school record in the 3,000 meters. She finished third with a time of 10:54.12, while Maggie Friend set a new program record mark in the wave throw at 8.92 meters. The Money Mags also posted several personal and season bests across track and field events, including a third place finish in the 4x4 relay. On the men's side, Colin Corkery set a school record in the wave throw with a mark of 13.57 meters, while Joseph Pierre Jacques broke the IU record in the triple dunk, finishing third at 13.36 meters. I also believe that is his track collegiate debut, as he's new to the team this season. And on the track, the Mighty Max posted a solid distance performances and placed fifth in the 4x4 relay. And they will return with a competition on February 14th at the Susquehanna Valentine Day Invitational. It's going to be an early morning. The bus leaves at 5:30 on Saturday. So it's a long ride, but there should be some good competition up there this weekend.
Yeah, it's good to see the track team has success. See some records set. Obviously, you look at both sides. You have Maggie Friend and Aubrey Donahue that set records the last 2 weeks and they're breaking their own records. And to see your throwers break their own record in the same meet twice. Like they set the record in their first throw, and then in their third throw they went ahead and broke their own records. They both faulted on their second throw, but they found a way to come back for their third throw and break their own record again. So I think that's a really good to see. And a lot of your younger people, like like your Colin Corkery's new, Joseph Pierre Jacques is younger, so it's good to see them, getting into it right away, and gives good thoughts and vibes for the what's coming ahead in the outdoor season when that does come around for them too.
Yeah, good marks over at Ursinus. Obviously, like you guys said, couple school records falling and very, I think, unusual and rare, but still kind of cool with the double record breaks in one day. Definitely cool for Colin and Maggie, both in the field events. And of course, Aubrey breaking her own record in anything is no surprise anymore, but still impressive nonetheless. We'll see both teams back in action next week. Susquehanna Valentine Invitational. It's weird that already, even though we just got back into action with indoor track and field, they have Valentine Invitational and then fast track, and then they'll be prepping for outdoor season. So the indoor season's coming relatively to a close in the next week or so already, but hopefully we can see some more records fall before we switch over to outdoor. And we need outdoor bad of anything, not just track, of anything, because I think I can talk for everybody and say that we are tired of this cold.
For sure.
Definitely looking for some warmer weather to come in hopefully soon. This has been a real rough stretch for this region. We haven't had one like this in a long time, so I know our teams are itching to get out there.
The snow is still here. It's been like 3 weeks since that storm. It's crazy.
Bro, it's frozen. So what I did, all right, you want to hear what I did? On Saturday at my house, I park on the street, and I've been parking in the driveway the last couple weeks because it's been, there's a big pile of snow on the street or whatever. So I decided since, Saturday morning, I was like, I know. I wanted to go see if I could shovel it. I know I wasn't going to get anywhere. I just wanted to do it just for, for whatever. So I went out, took the shovel. I made one dent, barely touched it or barely made a dent in it. And it was hard as a rock. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. thought I could make at least some sort of dent or pretend that I could, but I took one stab at it and just gave up right away. So maybe if we can get to the 40s sometime soon, or maybe get a blowtorch, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was up at Gwinnett on Saturday for the games. Coming back out of that arena, oh, that was wicked cold. And you go to start your car, and it just makes that sound like,
The wind
oh,
was brutal.
And then I went to another game somewhere else on Saturday night and was literally sprinting through the wind into the building because it was just right in my face. So I'm like hauling to get into that building. Me and about four other people just started running because the wind was just made it so uncomfortable. So definitely hoping for some warm weather coming our way. The men's and women's swimming teams will be back in action this week. Then they'll be concluding their 2025-26 schedule with the Atlantic East Conference Championships, which run from Thursday through Sunday at St. Mary's College of Maryland in St. Mary's City, Maryland. The men enter the meet 3-7, 1-3 overall in AEC competition. The women come into the meet at 5-7, 2-3 in AEC competition. The women will rely on Delaney McPeak, Kira Wiley, and Emily Ribble, while the men will lean on Mike DiMattei and Aiden Gall. I know Coach Pace is looking forward to these, to the championships, and then the women, have some good possibilities of competing in some events. The men, are going to fight through. Mike and Aiden are going to lead the way for the team. So it's a long weekend of events. Obviously, they open up on Thursday night with some events, and then there's preliminaries in the morning, finals in the evening on the other 3 days, and we'll be bringing results to you as soon as we could get them out and everything along that line.
Hopefully we can get some good results on over the weekend. And yeah, swimming's kind of been sporadic in terms of the schedule. I feel like we get like a week or two, then a break, and then another week or two, and then here we are at championships all of a sudden. Swim's about to wrap up their 25-26 campaign, and hopefully we can get some good results over the weekend. And should be a good run. And hopefully we can get a lot of these swimmers back next year. We only have the two seniors on the women's side, so we should hopefully have some familiar faces going into next season as well. And I know Coach Pace will be looking to bring in some new faces as well. So a lot to look forward to. Some tough results throughout the season, but there have been some positives too. All right, let's go into our final section. And although spring sports for us technically started back in January with men's volleyball, men's lacrosse is back in action. And men's lacrosse will kick off their 2026 campaign and their championship title defense this Saturday, February 14th at Arcadia at 2 o'clock. It'll be a special game, to say the least, because they will get to see former Immaculata head coach Will Pilot right off the bat. So Kent Snoddy, the new head coach for Immaculata, he was Will's assistant last year. So it'll be teacher and the student going head to head in that first game while the Mighty Macs storm the castle up at Arcadia. There is a lot of excitement right now building around the returning players, and there's plenty of new faces, a lot of freshmen, a couple transfers as well. And the conference preseason poll, the Mighty Macs were ranked number 2 behind Marymount. It was a very close poll. Both teams got 3 first-place votes, but Marymount edged Immaculata 23-22 in overall votes. And then out of 17 regular season games this season, 8 are scheduled at DWS. So if you're available throughout the season, make sure you get over to DWS and help support the men's lacrosse team as they try to defend their title. And guys, hopefully we can see another championship. And I don't know how we're already into lacrosse season when it is February and it is, the day after that certain football game that just happened yesterday, and with the snow, but here we are, and we'll be kicking things up very soon with all these spring sports.
Really looking forward to getting to spring sports and getting forward to lacrosse season. That was a kind of a special year last year, and I was very fortunate to be kind of along for the ride with the team. And I got to go up to Scranton for the NCAA tournament with them last year. We had this game at DWS last year, and shocker, it snowed. February lacrosse, you got to love it. You see stuff online all over the place of games this past weekend where there was snow or they had to move indoors or something along that lines. But lacrosse starts in early to mid-February now, and you deal with a lot of the elements. Obviously, the team you're getting 3-time All-Atlantic East first team goaltender Matt Ludlow back, so that's a huge boost to the team that you have. Your your top position, and you get back, some younger players that were going to play bigger roles, like Ryan Gorman this year will play a big role on the offensive end. You're going to see Jude Azarano take a step forward this year. They have a lot of new up and coming younger players that are going to, see new roles on the defensive end. You have, Dan Alvarez and Colton Rhodes are going to play big roles for the team this year. You got some new guys, you transfer in, and I think you're going to see a very competitive team that's going to come out hungry. I know they're dying. They had their first scrimmage last week at Widener, and while the starters were in, they were pretty well evenly matched up with them and everything like that. Obviously, Immaculata pulled their starters a little sooner than Widener did, so Widener was able to get some advantage in that with their older players. But still, Coach Snoddy was telling me about it. He was very pleased with what he saw, and he feels as they get more and more time on the field as they get closer and closer to, building up through games that, he expects big things out of a lot of players this year. And so looking forward to getting back out to DWS and being out there for some lacrosse this season.
I mean, yeah, obviously that championship game last year was awesome to do there, early May. It was really fun, a great atmosphere. We had that crowd out there, which was a lot of fun. And that was definitely one of the most memorable moments for me working here in the athletics program, along with the women's basketball championship last year. But yeah, you mentioned a lot of return players, Matt Ludlow, Jude Azarano, Jason Smarin. But like when we did their media day, you can tell that they're excited and the vibes are good. Obviously, it's been a little bit of a tough preseason with like the snow and the weather and everything. All the sports have been struggling lately, unless you're basketball and you're inside and volleyball, but definitely looking to doing some lacrosse and some warmer weather.
I think now would be a good time to bring in our guest this week, women's basketball guard Abby Grillo. We'll be back with Abby after this quick break on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. And welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. We are joined by women's basketball guard Abby Grillo. Welcome to the show, Abby.
Hi, thank you.
You guys had a really good win there on Saturday up at Gwynedd Mercy. You had a real big game. It was a lot of fun up there that day.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
Obviously, you in your first year, you stepped into a big role right away at Immaculata. What made Immaculata the perfect place for you? And what was the hardest part about being counted on so early in your career here at Immaculata?
I think the pace of the game was probably the hardest thing to adjust to. Obviously, there's a shot clock here. In Delaware during high school, I didn't have a shot clock. So just kind of knowing clock awareness, when to shoot, what shot to take, that was something I had to adjust to. Additionally, we do a lot of preparation for games like film, scouting, and knowing how to apply what I've learned to the game was something I've had to adjust to. And I think it's the right place for me because I love the balance between the sports and the academics. I'm studying nursing here, so it's definitely a rigorous course load, but being able to have the opportunity to focus on both basketball and nursing is a really great opportunity.
So when did basketball start to become a big part of your life?
I've been playing basketball for a really long time, probably since the age of 5, but it started becoming more serious for me probably around 5th grade. At that point, I really started diving into training and I got involved with AAU. So just playing AAU and seeing who my competitors were and watching the older girls play was definitely, it really opened my eyes to see how much effort has to be put into basketball and how much I need to be training if I want my game to transition to the next level.
So you made an immediate impact in your collegiate debut with 26 points on Moravian. How were you able to dominate right away, especially against the tough landmark conference opponent? Pretty much all the landmark schools are really tough, and you came out and just were hitting threes right away, and we were just really impressed. And I believe you won Player of the Week in your first week too. So how were you able to make that immediate impact?
Yeah, that was a really fun game. I'm really glad we got that win. I think it set the tone for the rest of the season. Throughout high school, I've been in a lot of close games where I've had to play in high pressure situations. So just being in those situations made me feel a lot more prepared for starting out in college. I really trusted in myself. I knew I had the skills and abilities to play. My teammates were really looking for me and I was looking for them. So overall, I think it was a really great game and I loved having the opportunity to play really well. And just overall, I'm glad we got that win.
You came from a program, an established, well-known program at Padua Academy. How did that help shape you as a player, do you think?
At Padua, I was definitely seen as one of the key players on the team. My teammates and my coaches put a lot of trust and confidence in me, which I think helped me have a lot of confidence in myself, which that's really important for my game today. Without the confidence of my current players and coaches, I don't think I would be the player I am today. But my coach Denise definitely helped me into who I am today.
In that first game against Moravian, you played against one of your old high school teammates. That must have been interesting to both have you make your college debuts kind of against each other in that first game.
Yeah, that was really fun. And in relation to that, my teammates from high school were in the crowd and as well as my coaches. So just having them there brought a lot of energy into the game and it was just really fun.
So, Abby, what do you enjoy most about being part of the Immaculata women's basketball team in your first season here?
Thing I love most is the team chemistry we have, especially on and off the court. I think we gel together really well when we're playing and also have a lot of fun off the court. I think now getting into the season, obviously this is a really crucial time. We're really connecting well and moving the ball. So I think it's a really good time that we're starting to come together.
What has the support from your teammates meant to you as a first year player? I mean, who is someone on the team that has kind of helped you grow this season?
It means a lot to me. As a freshman, I was a little unsure of what the season would hold, how the team would be, but I've been really happy with it so far. Honestly, all my teammates are really supportive. The team captains, especially Liv, Riley, and Carly, I play a lot of minutes with them on the court, and they are always encouraging me, always uplifting me. And it's just really great when all my teammates get excited if I make a good play, and vice versa. Like we get excited for them. So I just love that team chemistry we have, and it makes the transition so much easier from high school into college.
Yeah, I think that's something that's been very important. I've seen it with this team, even in the previous years and now my time here, is the support the team gives each other, particularly even your bench players or they're making noise the entire game. They're up, they're down. And then you see it with the star players, even the starters, when the players on the bench get in the game and do something, they're all excited to see that too.
Of course, yeah, and that really fuels my energy throughout the game. I think we have probably the loudest bench in the entire D3, and it's just super motivating when they all stand up and cheer. And then, high fives on the court. It's just a really great thing for our team chemistry.
How do you stay confident during tough stretches or off shooting nights? Obviously, you had that big game, as we talked about, against Moravian, and you've had some games where maybe you don't shoot as well. You had that bounce back against St. E's. Like, what do you think in your mind, or how do you stay confident during some of those stretches? Because obviously, those are going to happen to anybody.
Yeah, I just believe in myself. I mean, I know what I can do. I know there's always a next game, but the game of basketball, it can go either way. Like some games you're gonna score 26, some games you'll score 5. Like that's just how it goes. But I know there's other ways to be productive for my team. So if I'm off shooting, I'll maybe try to go grab some rebounds or make good passes. So I just know there's other ways I can help the team.
What is the best piece of advice you received so far from Coach Brett as you get your college career going?
The best advice I've received from Britt is just to control what I can control and just stay composed during the games. Like, there's going to be bad calls from the refs. We're going to lose games. That's going to happen in the game of basketball. But what matters most is how you respond to those setbacks. So, get back on defense if there's a bad call, get some extra shots up, try to prepare better for the next game. It's all about how you respond to those setbacks.
As we move into the kind of the stretch run here for the end of the season, and now you guys have locked in a playoff spot. You've locked in the first round bye. Now you're trying to, finish out for home court, things like that, semifinals and finals. What are your goals for the team and yourself for the rest of the season?
For the team, I think our main goal should just be staying together. We've already gotten this far and we're playing great so far. So I think just sticking to that, making sure we're still preparing for teams, keeping our motivation up. And for myself, I just want to improve myself as much as I can just to benefit the team.
Well, we thank you for coming in and speaking with us, and we look forward to Wednesday night's game with Marywood and Saturday with Centenary, seeing you guys back in action. I'm looking forward to being back on the call for those games, and thank you again for coming in, and good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
And we'll be back after this quick break on the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. And welcome back to the Tuesday Talk IU Athletic Podcast. That was a really good interview with Abby. A lot of good insight on the things with going on well with the basketball team and her adjustment to college life and college athletics. I know you'll be seeing her soon out on the track, Connor, when she joins the track team following the end of basketball season. So another two-sport athlete here at Immaculata. So guys, what do you think? 20 shows. What's your guys' thoughts on reaching 20 shows?
Yeah, it's a good milestone. Episode 20, obviously, here we are in February, and this started out as, a project back in September. Even when I was hired here at Immaculata, coming over from Delaware State, and Andy right away was telling me about doing a podcast, and I was on board with the idea. And from that point to now, and the fact that we've hit 20 episodes has been great. And we thank all of our guests that have been on here, and to all of our future guests that will be recruited for this podcast. We hope to get more in the spring. We might have to start doubling up guests in the spring just because there's so many players and teams. But it's been fun overall.
Yeah, it's definitely a huge milestone. It's been fun to do. It's becoming like a weekly routine for me, so it's definitely been awesome. And it's funny because throughout the whole summer, this past summer, I was seeing Tuesday Talks being posted, all the Instagram highlighting what happened. I'm like, whose idea was this? And Andy emailed me over summer, Tuesday Talks podcast. I'm like, what, that's actually a really good idea. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be a part of that. So it's been a lot of fun and definitely creative and good to talk to a lot of athletes about their experiences. But so yeah, what you said, it's definitely going to definitely have to up the guests come the spring with a lot of spring sports taking place.
Yeah, I do have to give credit for the Tuesday Talk name to our women's basketball coach and director of marketing, Brittany Whalen. Britt, she coined that Tuesday Talk. Started out as the social media updates in the summer about past things and highlights and everything, and when we were talking about the possibility of doing sort of a highlight show or something along that lines, and I had been following other schools' things, so I had seen, I'll cite for examples, the Bo Show up at Tufts, Jamie Chagnon, and Bob Morse up at Bates with the Bates Bobcast. Those were inspiration to bring something like that to here to Immaculata, and it was something I was really passionate about over the summer, looking into ideas. And fortunately, I was able to pull you and Connor and brought somebody with like Larry that has experience with his own podcast to really help drive that. So it's been a lot of fun and something I look forward to doing every Monday, getting everything together for the show, getting our guests in, and recording the show, and then getting it all together to put out on Tuesdays. So it's been great. Looking forward to continuing the run through the year and keep this thing going. And anybody wants to provide any ideas or anything like that, be sure to reach out to us, let us know, and we'll be glad to look into some new wrinkles and adding some things to the show. So until then, we look forward to another great week of Immaculate Athletics, and Roll Max.